Harvey Philip Spector was an American record producer, musician, and songwriter known for his innovative recording practices and entrepreneurship in the 1960s. Followed decades later by his trial and conviction for murder in the 2000s. Spector developed the wall of sound, a music production formula he described as a Wagnerian approach to rock and roll. He is regarded as one of the most influential figures in pop music history and as the first author of the music industry for the unprecedented control he had over every phase of the recording process. In 2009, after spending 3 decades in semi-retirement, he was convicted for the 2003 murder of the actress Lana Clarkson and sentenced to 19 years to life in prison. Born in the Bronx, Spector began his career in 1958 as co-founder, guitarist, and vocalist of the Teddy Bears, penning their US #1 single, To Know Him Is to Love Him. In 1960, he co-founded Phil's Records, and at the age of 21 became the youngest ever US label owner to that point. Throughout the 1960s, he wrote, co-wrote, or produced records for acts such as the Ronettes, the Crystals, and Ike and Tina Turner. He typically collaborated with arranger Jack Nitzsche, engineer Larry Levine, and a de facto house band that later became known as the Wrecking Crew. Spector's multi-artist compilation album A Christmas Gift for You from Phil's Records is widely considered to be the finest Christmas record of all time. In the early 1970s, Spector produced the Beatles' album Let It Be, and My Sweet Lord. According to BMI, You've Lost That Love and Feelin' is the song that received the most US airplay in the 20th century. Dubbed the first tycoon of teen, Spector helped establish the role of the studio as an instrument, the integration of pop art aesthetics into music, and the genres of art rock and dream pop. His honors include the 1973 Grammy Award for Album of the Year for co-producing Harrison's concert for Bangladesh, a 1989 induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and a 1997 induction into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. In 2004, Rolling Stone magazine ranked Spector number 63 on their list of the greatest artists in history. In 2021, he died in prison at the age of 81. Harvey Philip Spector was born on December 26, 1939, to Benjamin and Bertha Spector, a first-generation immigrant Jewish family in the Bronx, New York City. Benjamin's father arrived in the United States from Ukraine in 1913. He anglicized his name to George Spector in 1927 on his naturalization papers. Bertha's father had also anglicized his name to George Spector when completing his naturalization papers in 1923, and the papers of both men were witnessed by the same person, Anne Isidore Spector. The similarities in name and background of the grandfathers have led to speculation by Spector that his parents were first cousins. In April 1949, Spector's father committed suicide. On his gravestone were inscribed the words, Ben Spector, father, husband. To know him was to love him. 4 years later, in 1953, his mother moved the family to Los Angeles where she found work as a seamstress. Spector attended John Burroughs Junior High School on Wilshire Boulevard. Then in 1954 transferred to Fairfax High School. Having learned to play guitar, Spector performed Rock Island Line in a talent show at Fairfax High School, where he was a student. While at Fairfax, he joined a loose-knit community of aspiring musicians, including Lou Adler, Bruce Johnston, Steve Douglas, and Sandy Nelson, the last of whom played drums on Spector's first record release, To Know Him Is to Love Him. With 3 friends from high school, Marshall Lieb, Sandy Nelson, and Annette Kleinbad, Spector formed a group, the Teddy Bears. During this period, record producer Stan Ross, co-owner of Gold Star Studios in Hollywood, began to tutor Spector in record production and exerted a major influence on Spector's production style. In 1958, the Teddy Bears recorded the Spector-penned Don't You Worry My Little Pet, and then signed a 2 to 3 singles recording deal with Era Records, with the promise of more if the singles did well. At their next session, they recorded another song Spector had written, this one inspired by the epitaph on Spector's father's tombstone. Released on Era's subsidiary label, Door Records, To Know Him Is to Love Him, reached number 1 on Billboard Hot 100 Singles chart on December 1, 1958, selling over 1 million copies by year's end. It was the 7th number 1 single on the newly formed chart. Following the success of their debut, the group signed with Imperial Records. Their next single, I Don't Need You Anymore, reached number 91. They released several more recordings, including an album, The Teddy Bears Sing, but failed to reach the top 100 in US sales. The group disbanded in 1959. While recording the Teddy Bears' album, Spector met Lester Sill, a former promotion man who was a mentor to Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoll.